I am Brittany Shawley, and today I'm here with Gabriel Reinberg. Some of you may recognize him from my Living with Jesus series. I had the honor of interviewing him. I will share links below if you're interested to watch that interview. But today he is here to share 3 projects that he is doing through the Center for Unity. And these projects all revolve around Jesus and his message and his teachings, but it's done so in a contemporary and very, very relatable way. So needless to say, it really inspires me, and I really felt like I wanted to bring these projects to as many people as possible so that you all can be aware that this is happening and that possibly you can get involved in whatever way your heart speaks to do so. So with that being said, welcome, Gabriel. I'm so happy to have you here to share about all of this today.
Thank you. It's nice to be here. Thank you.
Yeah. So the way that I felt that we might approach this is just talk about the 3 projects a little bit, just maybe starting with the Jesus Metaverse, and you just giving us a vision, a glimpse. What is it? What's come into our world through the Jesus Metaverse? Just share it all with us.
Right. So, the metaverse is a word that we start hearing more and more and more, and it's not really well defined. So I'll just start by saying that we want to present experiences. We want people to experience the life and teachings of Jesus. And that's really the motif in everything that the Center for Unity is doing. We hope and pray that these experiences create a spiritual transformation in whoever is connected or feels to go through these experiences. And another thing that is very important to us is to actually target is a marketing word, but to actually become very approachable and relatable to the young people of today and in future generations. And specifically the youth of today, the Gen Zs, the millennials, the trends in religion and institutional religion show us, research shows that these young people are still looking for God, they're still looking for experiences, meaning, purpose, but they're somehow unbundling their palette, their menu of things that they do. So they like to combine things from different spiritual traditions. They don't necessarily stick to any particular tradition. That's what they do. And we're actually listening to that and trying to build a series of products that will be appealing and accessible to this specific niche. Of course, everybody can use and enjoy these experiences, but we have them in mind when we're doing all the design and thinking and conceptualizing. So it's important to understand that. So the metaverse itself, first of all, it's non-commercial. It's not going to be something that you pay for. And there's also not going to be any ads. And it's also not connected with any of the companies that are working on metaverses. There's going to be many metaverses. So imagine this is just one of them. And we're going to start with experiences that anybody can use on their computer or tablet or phone without any specific goggles or gears. But in the future, when those become really everybody has a phone, most people have a computer. When most people have those things at their disposal and they become really prevalent and accessible, we will also have those immersive type of presentations that you can use at home. And some of our projects, which we will talk later, the museum, the experience, will already have that immersive quality to them because those are in person. You're going somewhere and anything but yourself. We have all the technology there. So when we have those technologies at home, we will give them a much more immersive experience. But for now, it's going to be very accessible with any computer. And well, imagine you could explore Jesus in any way you want. So imagine you could trace his steps into every place he went and know which people he talked to and what he said to them and what happened in every year of his life, in every geographical location that he visited. So if you're thinking about the Gospels really portray about 30 or 40 days in the life of Jesus. And they're not really sequenced in time. Some of them have locations. So you know this happened in Capernaum, this happened in Bethsaida, this happened in Jerusalem or Nazareth. But in many instances, you don't really know when something happened or what happened before what. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. But imagine you had a director's cut of the gospel. Everything that was left out in editing, we can now put it back because we have a resource on this planet called the Urantia book. And the Urantia book simply portrays the entire life of Jesus from before the beginning of his earth life to after he actually left here. And it puts it all in context. And it really agrees very, very precisely with the events and relationships and teachings that are portrayed in the Gospels. So it really is a director's cut. So we're taking all of that material, the Gospels and the Urantia book, and we're basically creating a computer model, connecting things together. So you can ask it questions and say, show me where Jesus was when he was 20. Show me the people he met. Show me the things that happened. Where did they happen? Show me his relationship with Simon Peter. So you can see it from the point of view of Simon Peter, from the first time Simon laid eyes on Jesus and Jesus said, follow me. And he did, to after Jesus was crucified and was resurrected and appeared before Simon and the other apostles. So all those things, you can see them now in sequence and you can follow them on a map or on a timeline and see everything that happened and the richness of this relationship. And that's just one example of many. So we're building a computer model that has all this information, and then from that, we will create experiences. And that software product we call the Jesus Metaverse. So it's going to be easy to use. It's going to be very intuitive. Like I said, it's going to be very accessible and relatable to what the young people of today are looking for. It's going to be all inclusive, open to anybody. It's going to be all free. There's going to be no ads. So it's going to be free forever and ad free forever. We're not selling you anything and we're not selling you to anybody else, which is, they say if something is free, then you're the product. You're being sold to somebody else, which is true. So no, none of that. And that's what we're working on for the last year. We already have some kind of a demo, a very simple demo, and there's teams of people creating the computer model and designing the experience. We're doing focus groups with young people. We're doing research. We're basing this product on research that was done by other institutions about what is the relationship of young people with faith? What is it that they want? What is it that bothers them? And specifically the social interaction. They really need contact. They need mentorship. They need to interact with each other in the realm of faith. We are going to build a product that not only gives them this experience, but also helps them connect with other people, with other people who are looking for answers, have discussions, have mentorship, all in one. So that's our particular angle on the Jesus Metaverse.
This is amazing. I'm having a question pop up for you that I would love for you to answer. But before I ask you that question, in my heart and in my mind, when I look for the mark of like Jesus doing work in this world through us, is I always look for things to come into accord with God's laws. And God's laws to me give, right? As you give, you receive. And so I always look for that idea of like, where's the full give? Where's the full give? Because I know when we commit to just fully giving, that he's there. Like all the power of God and this loving universe and Jesus is in that mental position, in that decision. So I just like want to honor you and your team for just saying yes to this fully and completely and being willing to give this as a gift to our world. Like I'm a millennial, like this speaks to my heart, my being, my soul. And like this just, we need this. So like, first of all, just thank you for your full give. Like this is, I'm so grateful to see this come more and more to life. But then in regards to like my question and it relating to people and then being able to have an experience of faith and look into the different relationships Jesus had and the different journeys he took. So if we have an example of, let's say, wanting to explore Jesus in the desert when he was there for the 40 days, 40 nights, like that's something that fascinates me. So what would it look like? Do we get an inside peek into like what he was thinking and like how he, was able to basically, say no to the temptations and decide further for God during that time? Like, do we get an inside glimpse of what was going on? Like, can you walk me through what that might feel like or look like if that was like my journey that I chose in the Jesus Metaverse?
Yeah. So like I said, we are very fortunate that we have this resource called the Urantia book, which if you don't know about it, it's okay. You can look it up. It really has, like I said, the director's cut. So specifically for your question, it describes that after Jesus was baptized by John in the Jordan, and it actually says where that happened, and there's a location. So we would actually connect this to the actual physical location on the map. So you can click on the map and you can see, well, this happened, and then Jesus left and nobody saw him for 40 days, and what happened there.
Yeah.
So because the regulators who gave us the Urantia book decided that's important for us to know, then we have a full account. We know that why he went to be, a season with God, basically. He was communing. And he had several major decisions that he had to make because he knew that one phase of his life has just ended with the baptism and actually the appearance of the voice of God that was there. And the people who were there within hearing distance actually heard God speak. And there were 4 people there, 2 of his brothers, John and Jesus, and only they heard the voice of God speak something very specific. This is my beloved son. I don't remember the quote, I'm sorry.
Whom I'm well pleased,
like
maybe.
Yeah, yes, in him. So that, of course, found itself into the Gospels because it was such an amazing, supernatural thing, right? But Jesus needed some time to basically end the first chapter of his life and then start the chapter of ministry. He didn't have his apostles by then, but when he came back, that's when immediately, and this is an important and interesting factor, after he made 6 major decisions, and we will describe those decisions to you, and also what was his thinking. For example, he decided he's not going to use his superpower to do miracles for himself. And also there were some specific rules as to what type of supernatural events or occurrences he would resort to, because he said, I really want people to listen to me and not follow me and my teachings, and not follow me because I'm a miracle worker.
Yeah. Because
the Jews really wanted a Messiah who is a supernatural being, a prophet, somebody who had powers, who will topple the Romans and free up the Jews from the yoke of oppression. So there was a lot of prophecies and expectations from the person who would be the Messiah for the Jewish people that were being built for generations, and they were documented in the Old Testament. And so he knew all this, of course, and then he had to say, okay, these are the parameters of my second ministry, public ministry work. So we will describe those decisions to you and what was his thinking. And that's material that was left out in the editing room simply because he never shared that with his apostles. Or if he did, it just got left out. And we don't really know from the Gospels. So that's just one example. Now, specifically, what is it that we're going to show? That's a good question. We're going to use what we call content or rich content, audio, video, visuals. We're not sure exactly what, but we are going to create original content and also source from anywhere online, in print, whatever was produced by humanity that we can have access and permission to use that is specific to this particular topic, like artwork or research that was done by different types of researchers or historical evidence. For example, There's an archaeological site in the place of the baptism. It's called Al-Maktas. It's right on the Jordan River, between Jordan of today and Israel of today. You can go and walk there, and you can have people have baptisms there. But they also had some diggings there and some archaeological findings. So, everything related to this event, the baptism, and then the decisions that he made afterwards, we're going to try to bring it back to life to you. So in a sense, the most extravagant and most beautiful way for us to do it is to actually recreate that as an immersive experience so that you can actually walk with him, right? And we might actually do that, but it's very rich, but it's also quite costly. So imagine so we're not going to wait until we have enough budget to do that. We're going to do little things that will bring you back in time to that place. We're going to show you how it looks today. We're going to show you, somebody walking in a desert so you can understand the environment of where this is of today. We're going to explain to you these decisions. Some of it is going to be narrated. Some of it is going to be in audio. Some of it is going to be in text. Some of it might actually be animated. We're going to do some kind of a collection of media presentations so that you can have the best experience you can have to understand about this event. So you understand this is a lot of work, and we have to be quite efficient. Unless somebody says, here's a big check, do the best that you can. Yeah. We can do it. But until we have that ability, we will do the best that we can with the resources that we have. And we can still do a lot with, being wise and frugal and sourcing everything that exists today, and then producing specific things that other people did not produce until today. And making this beautiful mix, what we will call it an experience or a sequence, or I'm not exactly sure what words we're going to use. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're going to have an immersive experience to the best of our ability to give it to you. And then in time, when we have more technologies, then perhaps we can actually, in 10, 15 years, you will put your goggles that you use anyway to go to the metaverse and do your shopping, whatever, and you'll be able to walk through that desert, and see it and experience that with him. I'm not sure how, sure. But in the future, we might get to that point as well. But until then, we'll just give you a rich experience on this topic and many, many others.
Oh, this is so incredible. I see it in the future being in VR. We have a VR headset. And I mean, the first time I used it, I chose to just go underwater, and I'm like crying because I felt so connected to Earth. I just felt so connected to my surroundings. And I can't even imagine the depth of experience that it's going to bring to the hearts and the minds of the people who get to experience this. Well, it doesn't even have to be in VR, even if it's just, something that they can learn about and read about and see and know more. Like it's the way of the future. This is incredible. Amazing. So are there any final kind of add-ons or thoughts with the Jesus Metaverse that we haven't covered yet before we get to the next project? Okay.
What I wanted to say is, this is a growing, I want to say we're starting something that will keep evolving over time, because our best understanding of Jesus's life and teachings is evolving over time. Yeah. And now we have a new resource and new presentation mediums and new innovations in this way of using technology and computers and databases. So that will bring new insights. And then people in 10 or 15 years will say, oh, but I really would like to explore this, and let's do this experience. So it's going to keep growing. And we're also going to open it up and make it, maybe open source is not the best way to describe it. First of all, if somebody wants to use this technology we're building, the computer models, the processes, we're going to share that. So I'm not going to write academic papers, but I'm going to allow somebody else to use it. And also we're going to open it up as a crowdsourcing type of, more like a Wikipedia model than anybody can write a Wikipedia article, right? So if somebody wants to add to this metaverse from their own experiences, their own knowledge, research, sources that they found, we'll allow that, and we'll have a process where you can actually contribute to it. And so over time, we really want this to represent a very rich understanding of collectively of us as humans and of our understanding of its life. And also there will be other aspects of, how is it applicable to us, right?
Yeah.
So it's going to be documentary, like, let's go back in time and see what happened and understand what happened in a very rich way. But there's also going to be other aspects of this metaverse, which are more social and more personal and interactive between people. And then they can, we can having spaces where you have a panel and they talk about things. So let's say all the people who did a specific experience, like 40 days in the desert, can get, okay, let's not a study about it. Share what we felt and we understood. So we're going to have this platform allow people to connect to each other and interact and then study together, evolve together. There's a lot of potential here. So,
and that's so important too, because like I find when you're on the spiritual journey and you're having, spiritual insights, you can feel really alone sometimes, because it really does kind of push you into a new world. You're seeing with new eyes and you're like, what's going on? And so I think knowing that this can also be a place of community and support and learning and growth, where people are going through the same things as you. They might be a little bit ahead of you, a little bit below you, but all together we're supportive of one another and going in the same direction. This is necessary. Yeah.
When we right now we're in the process of designing the experiences, the user interface. So it's software, right? So you have to design it.
Yeah.
But what we did is our leader in this area she actually made up three young men, a man and a woman and a non-binary. I don't even know how to say this, but a person who's neither man or doesn't identify. And then we basically made up a persona based on research that other people, the Springtide Institute, did. And she said, okay, this is how this person feels and thinks and speaks, and this is what they need. And we made it all up, right? But we made it up in an inspired way. So now we're taking this three persons and we're saying, okay, one of them really hasn't started anything spiritual. He's really a newbie, a beginner. He was born in a house where his parents were not religious at all. He never went to church. He's like an agnostic, but he's looking for something. And he's looking for a faith community that can accept him as he is with nothing. Yeah. Like, he's just a beginner, right? Mm-hmm. So, and then there's another woman who was born in a Christian home. And she's accepting some parts of that faith tradition, but she doesn't like other parts. So she's in a different place on her journey. And then there's the they person that she was born woman, but she's not woman anymore. She's something else. And I honor that. I don't understand that, but I honor that. And then she felt, or she was abused by somebody in a faith tradition. So she has a lot of resentment and anger, and she really rejects that. And she's really angry, but she's still looking. And she would like to find a faith community that accepts that as well and can contain that. And she doesn't feel that an institutional religion that she used to belong to has that openness to accept her as she is. And she's also a child of God, right? Yeah. So, and these are the times. Yeah. So we're thinking about that, building an experience that suits a person who's just starting, a person who's already somewhere down the road and had some experiences and insights, and a person who really is very pushing back, and she wants to be proven that she's accepted so that she can open up. We just made it up, but in a sense, this exercise allows us to think, what is it that they need? How can we serve them? And how can we build a product that really will help them, each one of them, in their journey?
Oh my goodness, you guys, this is so great. This is equality at its finest. You're including everyone and meeting them where they are. And this is the type of like non-judgmental, inclusive space that I feel like Jesus would want. Oh, that's so good. Okay, so perhaps do we want to maybe transition to learn a little bit about the Jesus Museum and how this ties in with all of this?
Right.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So I just want to say we're an organization that has two parts. Our executive arm is a nonprofit in Israel, but we have people all around the world. We literally have people from North America, South America, Europe, Africa. It's very, very global. It's a global organization. And of course, technology of today allows us to do this. And then we have a nonprofit in the United States that we set up to do fundraising. So people can have tax benefits. We also can use, there's a nonprofit in Canada that has allowed us to get some funds through them as well. So that's how we're built organizationally. And there's already about 30 people working on these projects. So we have a large team. And basically, we have 3 projects that are running at the same time with it, but they have different tracks. So the Jesus Museum is a physical place. It's a venue. You can go through the door and basically be transported back 2,000 years. And whatever we do on the computer, which is limited to a screen and maybe later with goggles, now you're going physically to a place. And we can use whatever technology there is today to give you the same experiences. The specific angle that the museum wants to take, because it's in Israel and it's going to be on the shores of the Sea of Galilee, we have to be specifically mindful and respectful of the fact that Israel is a Jewish state.
Yes.
And it's not Christian. And also there's Muslims. And we really want this place to be inclusive. We really want people to connect to Jesus. So we decided we're going to show, the best way I can summarize it is, okay, let's take you back there, see what happens, similar to the metaverse, but then let's also show you what happened in the last 2,000 years because of this man.
Ooh.
How did he affect our civilization? Everything.
Yeah.
And of course in an inclusive way, it's not in an offending way. It's not saying everything else is bad. It's like, okay, this man had a mission. This is what happened. You can experience what happened, much like the metaverse. But then, okay, this is the effect, and of course, it's until today. So it's history, art, philosophy, economics, whatever, everything. And of course, religion, but that's not the main point. The main point is to show how our civilization of today is affected by the work, the mission, and the teachings of Jesus. So that's, and of course, you're going there. You have to be physically. We're going to have a virtual tour, but it's not.
Won't be the same for this.
Yeah. So that's the museum. But then we were thinking, and this arrived as inspiration because in the last few years there's immersive experiences popping up, and there's a specific one called the Van Gogh experience, and it's presented in cities around the world. And I've been to one that is about Monet. It's not about Van Gogh in Europe. You're basically walking into a very large venue. It's not a museum. It's really an immersive experience, and it's usually based on technology. And you're sitting in a large hall, and everything around you is a projection screen, and you hear sound, and you can watch on huge walls and ceilings and floors. Everything is projected, and you're basically going through. In this case, Monet was a painter, and he had very many life experiences that were difficult and also challenging, and they influenced the way he painted and what he painted and where he painted and everything that happened. Same with Van Gogh and many other painters. So I was thinking, we should do something like this for Jesus.
Yeah.
So that's, and you don't have to go to Israel if you can't. And, you know, a lot of people don't have the ability. So let's bring it to you. Let's bring it to a venue near you. So that is called the Experience Jesus. And it's going to be immersive. And it's going to be the same motifs. So we're going to blend some of the museum, some of the metaverse, and create something that will also change in time. So you can come to it today, and then in maybe a year, you will see different aspects. And of course, after you go to the experience, you'll be invited to experience in the metaverse at the comfort of your home and go deeper. In the metaverse, you know, you can spend hours and hours and hours in an immersive experience. You go and you spend there an hour or two, and that's the extent of the visit. So there's a limit to the breadth of what we can share in an hour or two or three. The metaverse is not limited because you're doing it at your own pace. So now we're saying, okay, let's take the metaverse and the museum and bring it to a physical venue near you.
Yes.
So those are the three types of projects. We have another branch, which I call the Cinematic Jesus, which is embedded in all of the others. But it has a name because, like I said before, there's a director's cut of his life. What if we could put it in film in a way that actually dramatizes this? So it's not, it could be a docudrama where you actually see what happened, but it could also take a different angle where you actually explore what happened to people who met him and interacted and had a relationship with him, or even met him just once. So the person, I think his name was Josiah, that he healed at the pool by, you know, spitting on the spittle and putting it on his eyes. What happened to Josiah a year later, right? We can explore that. But this goes now into the realm of fiction and drama and film. We can make a scene or a short story or short film about how a person who was healed in a miracle by Jesus deliberately, he did this miracle deliberately on the Sabbath to cause the Sanhedrin to have a reaction to, well, he was challenging them to accept him and his teachings, but of course they couldn't. But what happened to this person? There was a person there who was healed and then had a few more years of life, you know, and there's so many others like that. What happened to, you know, Mary after Jesus was crucified? You know, that's a story in and of itself. Now, we don't know, but we can surmise and we can now dramatize it. So the cinematic aspect will be embedded in the other projects, in the museum, in the experience, in the metaverse. And we still don't know how it's going to shape. Perhaps we have a big contract with a big studio and they want to take this director's cut and, you know, film it. Perhaps we will do these fictional short stories. Perhaps we will do animations. I don't know. We're still conceptualizing, but this is basically bringing into film or television this director's cut. And we're exploring the options. There's people coming that have connections in the film industry and the TV industry, and we're exploring various ideas on how to do this with CGI, with live actors, with animation. There's so much technology that we can use, but it's really in the cinematic TV area. So that's why it's got a name of it. But the aim is to share these. So it's basically a new way of storytelling using the we have to. You know, pretty amazing. So I'll share it as an anecdote. Today, there is our national model. They were done by Google and other companies. They took billions and billions of internet and they trained an AI, artificial intelligence software, to assimilate all that. You can have a conversation with this software and it will answer you. You can also give it, okay, take this book and now I'm going to ask you questions about this book. And that computer AI somehow seems to understand the concepts. We don't really, I mean, the people who are technical know more. I'm not that technical, but you can see videos on YouTube of people talking to this machine, this computer software, asking it questions and getting intelligent answers. So we're exploring the possibility of, you know, having something like this that you can ask it a question about Jesus, and then it will get all that information that we're building in this computer models and all over the internet, and then give you some answers and maybe insights that, you know, people never thought about. So that's also a possibility of storytelling using technology that wasn't possible 50 years ago, wasn't possible when the printing press was made available. So we live in exciting times, and I think one of the features of these projects of the Center for Unity is to take those stories, make them relatable to the young people of today, using technology in a way that is accessible to all, in a way that is inclusive to all. That's what we want to do.
Yes. Yes. Oh, that's so incredible. I think the part that I really love too is that you're saying that even with cinematography and bringing it to the screen and being able to explore the people who were affected by Jesus. Like I even think of like the crippled man, right? He went home to his family. Like, you know, what then happened to his family after he was healed, and like just so many what ifs. And I think if we just allow ourselves the freedom to walk through those stories, we can see like just the power and the impact of Jesus, and to make that present day, and for people to be like, hey, like he's still here. He still wants to help you. You know, this is an amazing way to just bring back that faith in him. And actually, maybe this leads me to another question around this whole thing. Like, why do you feel like it's important at this time to bring forward all of these different projects and teachings of Jesus in a way that is a little bit more like not separate from religion, but Jesus standing on his own in his teachings, let's just say? Like, why do you think it's important at this time to do that, to have this?
I was born Jewish, so I had no relationship with Jesus whatsoever, even though Jesus was Jewish. So there's 15 million Jewish people who have very little understanding of what Jesus actually did and said and taught. There's a billion Muslims who consider him a prophet, and he's mentioned in the Quran, but you know, the Quran is a very, very short snippet of, I don't even know what it says in the Quran. I'm pretty sure there's not much information there. So there's billions of people on this planet who are not necessarily officially followers of any branch of Christianity, which can be benefiting from the man, the divine, the human, all of it, without needing to change their religion. We're not trying to convert them. We're not trying to suggest that that religion is not good. We're just trying to share with them other concepts. And, you know, Christianity has a lot of the truths, but again, what Christianity has, and I'm not critiquing, I'm just stating facts, is people who, especially Paul, he never met Jesus. So he heard, and then there were some writings, and he was inspired, obviously, by God. So, you know, he did his best with the inspiration and the mission that he received to represent what Jesus said and did and taught, but he never met Jesus. And perhaps he met people who met him. I don't know the history, so I don't want to say things that I don't know. What I'm trying to say is we want to bring the original version in all of its details, and let people benefit from that without needing to change their religion, without needing to criticize this spiritual tradition or that spiritual tradition, for everybody, for young people, for old people, for all races, for all genders, all around the world, actually, in their languages. So we will translate this material to as many languages as we can. We will make it accessible to the hard of hearing and the visually impaired. So this is a very long-term effort, but it's worthwhile, because these stories are life-changing. Like I said, I was born Jewish, but once I understood, learned about, knew him, accepted him, I never changed my spiritual religion. I'm not Christian.
Right.
I'm a follower, and I understand in my head and heart what it means to benefit from these teachings because of my life experience. And so in a sense, we want to bring to the entire world,
Yes,
without the world needing to do anything to change themselves. We just share that. Technology, using storytelling, using some fiction, using historical data, showing the full picture. And I'll just share one thing that has touched me the most.
mm-hmm.
And I'm not going to go into theology because I don't know much about theology. One of the main pieces of the main tenets of what he was sharing with the people who were there with him, his apostles and the other disciples, is that we're all children of God.
Yes.
And God is the highest concept that we can fathom as humans on this planet is of a family, that he's like a parent to us, a father, mother. It doesn't matter. God doesn't have a gender. I say father, mother, or I say father, mother. It's more. And I actually, when I talked to him, her, I just said, father, mother. And, but what happens to a person like me when I wake up in the morning and I know in my heart that the divine is my parent?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know my father in flesh. I know my mother in flesh. I know how much they love me, even though they made a lot of mistakes and everything, and I forgave them. And we have all of our stories. But it is unmistakable that a parent loves his child so much that they want really what's this best for this child, and they will give everything in their life for this child. And how much more will a divine parent do? So, when you hear something like this, you might not understand it, but then if it becomes something that you accept, it changes somebody's life.
Yes.
So even this teaching, we really want to highlight that. This is what he said, and he said it in so many ways, and he demonstrated that by speaking about God as a father and sharing many insights to his apostles. So when you hear it once and twice and three times, eventually you understand this is important, and then if you accept it, it changes your life. So many people in this planet, on this planet today, are lost. They're looking for something, and they might say, no, I don't believe in anything. I don't believe in God. And how can God exist? And if this is the planet that we see, which is really man-made mostly.
Right. Yeah.
So instead of arguing with a person like this and saying, no, God exists and blah, 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 and let's share with you some insights.
Yeah.
And then maybe this will open your heart, and then you will have a transformation. Yeah. And it's not really up to us. But if we present this in a way that a person says, wow, I didn't know that about Jesus. I didn't know he said that. I didn't know he did that. I didn't know he had that relationship. I didn't know that happened. I never understood the parable like you're sharing it with me today. So every person will get whatever they need at the right time. That's not really up to us. We will just present this information and do our best to make it accessible and appealing and meaningful, and then the rest will happen.
Yes, amen. Are there any final things that we haven't shared on this yet that you want to make sure that people kind of know about this? Because I feel like I see the picture in my mind now. I feel like I feel like part of what I'm called to do is like to join in this vision and just to say yes and just to be grateful and to just give my faith and my support and my contemplation and whatever I have to give to these projects. And so I feel very moved by them. But yeah, as a kind of final thought, is there anything else that we kind of left out that you feel is important for people to know who are watching today?
Yeah. like I said, this is the experience when it happens in the museum are probably going to be something that you pay a ticket for.
Sure.
Because it has to be in real life, and there are much more costs.
Yep.
But we really want to keep the metaverse free and ad free. So we really need the support of people to help us build it. And then I think later there will be some kind of a paid forward model where if you're called to donate, that basically will allow somebody else to experience it for free. And I promise that we can do wonders with very little financial support, because most of us have already spent tens of thousands of dollars of our own money and thousands of hours of our own time, and we will continue to do so, but we really need other people's help, both in time and skill and talent, and also in treasure. So that's my prayer. I tell our Father that my prayer is the perfect ideas, talent, and treasure arrive when and as needed. So for me, this is an avenue to just share this vision, share this dream that is already being manifested. And whoever is called to help us in time, talent, treasure is going to be appreciated. It's a gift that this generation leaves for future generations. And then, so it's an opportunity for somebody to say, I really love Jesus. Jesus changed my life. Jesus is this and this and this. I wish more people knew about it. Okay, this is it. So if you wish that, then help us, because we're squarely doing that. We will share this with billions of people over time. This is not a small project. It's not that expensive, but it's very impactful, because we're building this as an experience that will entice people and it will go viral. So our job now is to make it the best that we can, using the best technologies that we can, and that costs money, and we need help. So
amen. I trust that, like, the brother and sister souls who are listening to this, who feel the call and feel the inspiration, that I'm going to put all the links down below where people can donate, where people can give, where people can learn more, where people can contact you, contact the team, and just learn how it is that maybe they can share their time or share whatever it is that they have to give. And I'll just make sure that all of this is available, because I trust my circle, whoever's watching this right now. I trust you that, like, we're listening and we are asking. And I feel that this is the time where I'll say, okay, well, what is my part? And we may not know, but I feel like you and your team are giving an opportunity for people such as myself, who are like, I have a part to play, to bring the message of Jesus to a greater audience. And I feel like this can be an answered prayer to many people who are watching this and who are listening to this today. So thank you so much for saying yes to this project. Thank you so much for making this available for so many people to join in and to help and to give and to bring this to life, to bring this to our world. This is a very important endeavor. I feel like it's necessary for our future generations. And I just thank you for everything you and the team are doing for this. This is incredible. Yeah.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Pleasure.
Okay, everyone. As I just mentioned, all the links are below. Don't hesitate to reach out to me or Gabriel. I'm sure we'll be here to answer any questions. And this is beautiful. So thank you, everyone, for being here. We'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Bye.